Frank Lemonade here, and I am trying to get through my backlog of ideas. I'm going to be making some videos with just audio, because I have some things to talk about, some different shows that existed in the 90s, and in particular, um, this one is Xena Warrior Princess. And I'm playing the game on PlayStation, but I'm not really here to talk about that. I do just want to talk about the show overall, um, because it is a good show. I ended up rewatching it in 2021, and then I bought the DVD set for the series, if not last year, the year before. Um, and it was something that I did not plan to enjoy or think that it stood um, as well on its own than it did. And originally, when I was watching Xena, I didn't start out watching Xena, I was watching Hercules The Legendary Journey. It was on Hulu. It was within like the last month that it was going to be taken off of circulation on Hulu. Um, for all I know, Xena and Hercules are on another streaming platform, but I do not know right now. I know it's still not on Hulu. But I was watching Hercules, and one thing that happened when I was watching Hercules was it got kind of repetitive, it got kind of boring. And one thing that I really didn't like about Hercules was this guy, he was supposed to have superhuman strength. He's like, carrying boulders, punching Cyclops, fighting mythical creatures. But at the beginning of every episode, he's like fighting regular dudes in a bar fight with his sidekick Aeolus. And it just, it was not balanced. It didn't sit right. And even like the reason he was on his journey, like he lost his family and things like that. And he was gonna do something. I don't remember. I didn't watch all the way through. But yeah, like it got to the point where Xena does a cameo, and the cameo was the lead into the series of Xena Warrior Princess. And I watched Hercules up until that point. I decided to like switch over and watch a little bit of Xena, and maybe go back and watch Hercules before it went off the air. And I just ended up watching Xena all the way through. And the reason I did was because it's actually like a strong show on its own. It's a redemption story. It starts with Xena, who was this warlord, warmonger, whatever, what have you, and she did damage. And before the show starts, she decides that she wants to put that all in the past. She wants to live a normal life. She doesn't want to do crimes no more. She don't want to kill no more. She good. So, she's heading back home to be with her mother and try to live as normal of a life as possible. And on her way, there is a town where a young girl named Gabrielle is living. She lives a very boring life. She yearns for adventure. She yearns to read poetry. She yearns to have a life outside of the village. She's set to marry a guy. She's like, nah, I ain't even trying to do that. So, some guys are doing some slave trading. They're taking the women away from the town. Gabrielle's like, yo, y'all can't do that. And then they just look at her like, you ain't gonna stop us. We gonna take you too. And that's when Xena comes by and is like, nah. She said, y'all ain't gonna do that. And beats the crap out of him. And the best thing about Xena is that for her, violence isn't the first resort, it's the last resort. She tries to use her wits to get out of situations, and in a lot of situations, she is not the most powerful person in the room, so she has to strategize. It's a good show. I would say go watch it. And when it comes to this game, um, the 90s was just a little too early for these type of games, like a free roaming style game. Um, it's hard to move, very tank like controls, and combat's a little stiff. But what they should do is do a reboot of the game for modern consoles. Bring this up to like PS5, Xbox, or whatever, and yeah, just bring it up to modern consoles, and dude, it would play so smooth. Dude, there's just so much more movement that is available for programming. And realistically, probably not going to happen because somebody would have to pick up the title to develop it, and development costs money, and they would want to see a return in the idea. But honestly, yeah, like if anything, Dream World, they should have did a Xena game reboot instead of Heavenly Sword for the release title on PS3. Would have been dope. And would have been a more recognizable character. That IP probably would have did a lot better. If it was Xena instead of the girl Nariko. Because she ain't been on another game since that game came out in 2007. Wait, she was in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. My bad. She was not in a sequel since that game came out back then. Anyway, I really, 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 really highly recommend you watching Xena Warrior Princess if you are interested in, just watching something from the 90s. For me, this show was very, it was a show that I watched all the time because it came on Saturdays, and so I see a lot of people on YouTube talk about like the Saturday morning cartoons, and then they don't talk about what happened after the Saturday morning cartoons. So like for WB, for example, they had Batman the Animated Series, they had forgot what shows they had. But they had the morning block of cartoons. Noon comes around, Hercules the Legendary Journey comes on. Then after that, Xena Warrior Princess comes on. Then after that, Highlander the series comes on. That time block had so much good content. 90s was so good in terms of just TV shows, and it wasn't on demand, so you kind of got what you got, and you either enjoyed it or you didn't. You didn't know what episode of what show was coming on at what time. And I don't think that's better. I think it's different. I think there are different consumption methods now. So, with streaming, you do have like a little bit more instant, controlled, more control over what you watch. And when things come out, you kind of have like more instantaneous access to it and more control over like pausing. Like you gotta go to the bathroom and you don't want to miss something, so you pause it. So there are pros and cons of like live TV versus like streaming TV, and that's probably a deeper discussion for later. But I kind of said all I really need to say about Xena. Um, and the next video that I'm working on won't be about Xena. It'll be about another show that I grew up watching. Um, that's probably going to be the theme of a lot of these videos. Either, talking about a game that I grew up on, or talking about a show and using the official video games footage to get around, not using the show. And, I don't want to do retrospectives of shows or reviews of shows. I would really like either encourage you to seek the show out, or just give you my thoughts or memories of a certain thing. And if it's something that you want to check out, definitely do. Like I said, I don't know if Xena's on any streaming platforms, but I do have Xena for the N64, which is more of a fighter. I might go back and watch some Xena, and if I got something to talk about, I'll come back. But just as understand, like a heads up to people who want to watch Xena, seasons 1 through 4, good. Season 5 and 6, they get a little weird. And it's because in a lot of ways, seasons 5 and 6 move away from Greek mythology into other beliefs. And I want to keep it vague because if you're gonna check it out, I think you should. I think you should have your own experience. You can, aside from my recommendation, I don't want to influence any expectations going in either. So, that's all from me. Until next time.